The money shortages, I think, what was it? You could only take out an equivalent of 8 USD at a time from the ATM machines. $8 at a time. Do you know how inconvenient that is? And when you have a foreign Visa card, a foreign credit card, that's charges on charges on charges from your bank, the foreign transfer fee, all of that. They was like, you just have to keep doing multiple transactions. I was like, say what? Welcome to BLAXIT to Africa. I'm Tadre Delora Moignet, a California native living my best life in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for coming along for the ride. I hope that you are informed, entertained, and inspired to BLAXIT to Africa. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of BLAXIT to Africa. I'm so glad you're here. Oh my goodness, the topic of discussion for today is how Nigeria made me appreciate Kenya. Listen, I was already very appreciative of Kenya. This is a beautiful country with varied terrains and temperatures and people, and there's so much to do in a city like Nairobi, and it's convenient and all those other things. If you want to know more about Kenya, please go back, watch some of my other videos. But before I get into the topic, I just want to say that goddamn, it's cold. Y'all see I got this sweater on? I got an undershirt on underneath. I got on jeans, socks. It's really cold in Nairobi right now. And then some of you might be saying, oh, cold in Africa? Yes, it gets cold in Africa, especially a higher elevation. Nairobi is actually a higher elevation than Denver, Colorado. And we call Denver, Colorado the Mile High City. So yeah, we have seasons here. Now, cold for me is 60 degrees. All right, I think the low this morning was about 57 degrees. Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius? I forget. I always forget. That's Fahrenheit. And the high today is supposed to be like 71. No, ma'am, this is not why I moved to Africa, but here we are. I will also say that the houses here are made of concrete cinder block, so there's no insulation. So when you have these micro temperatures, you really feel it. It's actually warmer outside than it is inside. Yeah, so the sweater is very much needed. And because of the topic, yes, I have on my Kuroga wig, okay, that I purchased in Nigeria. This look right here was so popular when I was in Nigeria, which was this past February 2024 for a wedding. Some of you may follow Brittany in Africa. She got married to a Nigerian, Shola. I love Shola. Shola's so chill. So a group of us, we went over from Kenya to Nigeria and just enjoyed in the festivities. Before I forget, protests are still happening. These Gen Zs in Kenya, they not fooling with y'all. They not playing no games. Like, I thought we would have like one march, one demonstration, and it'd be one and done. No, they are coming back week after week, like twice a week. They are marching, they are protesting in the CBD, which is not far from my house. I think the goal several times has been to make it to the State House. That hasn't happened. I live very near the State House, and there's tanks, there's roadblocks, there's police every day. So ain't nobody getting close to the State House. Yeah. But to stick to the topic at hand, how Nigeria made me appreciate Kenya, let me just start with how I got there. It's my first time going to Nigeria. To be honest with you, I hadn't really heard anything about Nigeria that made me want to go. I'm just keep it 100. And so when Brittany was like, I'm getting married, here's my invitation, here's the itinerary, come through, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I've never been, and I want to support my girl, and why not? So I went in February. I stayed for an entire month. We went to multiple states within Nigeria. We started out in Lagos and then went up to, oh my gosh, please let me remember. Oh goodness, I was really struggling. It's been so long, I have forgotten which states I visited. But like I said, I was in Nigeria for a wedding from February to March. I stayed 1 month and I was in a total of 4 states. So we started out in Lagos, that's Lagos State. Then we went to Benin City, that's Edo State. Then we went to Cocoa Village for the traditional wedding, that is Delta State. And then from there, I flew to Abuja, and Abuja is FCT, Federal Capital Territory is what that stands for. So I was able to see a pretty nice portion of Nigeria. There's some places that I would have liked to have checked out, but I just learned about them too late in my stay to just kind of change. But I really, when I travel, I'm a slow traveler. So I like to get into the culture. I like to just really see what's happening and live life like a normal person, not necessarily as a tourist all of the time. So I'll take time to explore a place, and I try to stay like for a month just to get a feel of it. And I feel like I got a really good feel of it. So this episode is not designed to shit on Nigeria or Nigerians. This is just to point out that sometimes you gotta leave where you at to appreciate where you are. And Nigeria did that for me. Before I really get into the nitty gritty of what really just drove me nutty about Nigeria, I want to start with what I liked. Let's start on top. What I loved about Nigeria, the people, hands down. Hands down, the people. So Nigerians know that the world views them as scammers. They know that they have a bad reputation as scammers. That's a very small percentage of the population. I found Nigerians to be warm, to be funny, to be helpful, and to be fair. Like this BS I be experiencing in Nairobi, where people be trying to charge me like they whole rent in one transaction. I didn't have that experience in Nigeria. People was just like, come sit. Come sit. Let me give you the best of what I have. From street vendors to shopkeepers. It was a really good experience. And what I can say as a person of African descent born in the United States, when I got to Nigeria, I was like, oh yeah, this is us. This is us through and through, from the mannerisms to the walk to even the way of greeting, of speaking, the extraness, the dramatics. That's African Americans. Like the apple don't fall too far from the tree. I really enjoy my time there. I find Nigerians to be hilarious even when they're not trying to be. The food, ooh. The food in Nigeria, they have so many different types of dishes and cuisines and cultures and influences that it's just a party for your palate. I enjoyed it. I fell in love with this tiger's milk made from a tiger nut with dates and cinnamon, and it's so delicious. As a vegetarian, there's bits of meat and fish and just about everything, which I didn't really mind it because when I'm on vacation, I just go with the flow. I eat whatever. But the spices, I can't do regular night. Listen, they spice is on a whole nother level. And I find that as I mature, that I'm just less tolerant to spices. So when they ask you oh, how spicy do you want it? I just tell them mild. Even they mild, my mouth just be on fire. But it's still tasty, it's still good. I have to be honest and say that I think my taste buds love Nigerian food more than my stomach. Cause yeah, I was on the toilet. But I love Nigerian cuisine. The little bit that I had, I just really, really enjoy it. They street food is amazing, and I love street food. The restaurants, there were so many different restaurants for me to try. From what I understand, the Lebanese really dominate the higher end restaurant industry, um, which that says something more about politics and economics. However, I will say that there was just a plethora of places for me to try. The other thing, which I would say was probably next to the people, my most favorite thing about Nigeria is the fashion. They don't rest. Nigerians do not rest when it comes to fashion. It's just crazy. Like, I brought so much back. And if you follow me on Insta, you can see like the things that I brought back from Nigeria. Niger fashions was just crazy. From the simple boo-boos to the designers, the boutiques were lovely. Just, there was so much. The markets, I went to Balogun Market, crazy. Secondhand, new, like, I believe Brittany had ordered a dress for one of the festivities. I think it might have been like the bachelor party. I went to Balogun and I saw that dress. She ordered it from the US. Like, there was no need. The way I was trying to get gold together in Kenya, because as a guest for one of the, I think it was the reception, all of the guests, we were expected to wear gold. So I was trying to get all my gold accessories, my gold dresses made. I wish somebody had told me there was no need. There was no need. In Lagos, they had metallic in every color, dresses, shoes, bags, jewelry, just accoutrements and apparel for men and women in every metallic color, red, blue, gold, green. They had it. The way I was struggling here to find something that I liked in gold. And the thing about Niger fashion is it isn't just one note. It isn't just feminine. It isn't just flirty. It isn't just conservative. They got funky, which is me. Like, that's my style. I love just a really funky, eclectic, avant-garde look. They had that. And they also had on the opposite end, the very feminine. So those were the things that I absolutely loved about Nigeria. Baby, let's just talk about like where Kenya is winning. Okay? Let's get into that. Electricity. I'm almost speechless. Like, the things Nigerians have to go through in order to access electricity. In 2024, the average middle to upper class Nigerian has a generator, has an inverter, has solar, has inverter friendly appliances, and yet and still, with all of that plugged in and playing, they still run out of electricity. The way that power go off and on and off and on and off throughout the day, several times a day. It don't matter what neighborhood you live in. It don't matter your class. You still gonna battle with accessing electricity. Lord help those working from home. How do you do it? Lord help those who have businesses. Because to access Wi-Fi on a continuous basis is a struggle. Imagine you have a business and you're trying to complete an order and you just got irregular power. Like, it's just, it's not good. At one point, I stayed in an Airbnb. That generator was going 24/7, 24/7. And at a certain point, I guess it ran out of fuel. They didn't have an inverter, and it's hot there, like super hot, like 105 degrees. I got there at the tail end of Harmattan, and they were saying it was like record temperatures. Baby, I had a handheld fan. I had a battery operated fan. You need AC. So when the power go out and you ain't got no AC, it was just crazy. So the power had gone out. I needed to get some things done. I went and got an Uber to a cafe that was recommended by Brittany, so where I could work. I get to the cafe and they tell me they closing up early because of the power situation. So then I bop around to a couple of other cafes, and finally I make it to the last one, and they're telling me they're not allowed to give me the Wi-Fi password. I was like, what kind of nonsense is this? Eventually the guy, he slips it to me. I give him a little tip, and the Wi-Fi is just so slow. It was just, I don't, this is why they were protesting. There's so much that's just being taken from the people. And my quarrel is not with Nigerian people. My quarrel is with the people running the country. They left hardly nothing for the people. I was staying in a nice hotel at one point. I stayed at the Nordic Hotel in Lagos. Was it Lagos Island? And you would think at a nice hotel that you wouldn't be able to detect that the power is going on and off, but you could. Power would just go off for a couple of ticks and then it would go back on. Like, to operate a business there has to be extremely expensive and challenging. Here's where Kenya is winning. Again, roads. One thing, this is what I noticed when I first visited Kenya from Tanzania. If it's one thing Kenya gonna have, is some good roads. This is not everywhere, but this is many places. You go to some cities in Africa, once you get off the main road, it's a dirt road. It's a wrap for you. I get around Nairobi on a tiny little scooter with tiny wheels. I would not be able to use this scooter in most places in Africa. The roads in Nigeria, pretty bad. Abuja had some good roads. The highways are cool. But we talking about in the city, the municipal roads, the roads in the villages. And then the way I was going to these high-end boutiques, Alara and all these other places that I had read about, that were recommended to me. And they got pieces in these boutiques that's thousands of dollars, but it's on a $5 road. $1 million homes on a $5 road, baby. No bueno, no bueno. The beaches. Another area where Kenya is winning. The beaches, okay, so Nigeria has this entire coastline, Atlantic coastline. Why are there mainly only resorts in Lagos? So I was looking to get out of Lagos because Lagos is real hectic. Like, fuck what you see on these Nollywood movies. Lagos is real hectic. And despite me going to the spa, despite me going to a beach resort, I was still like, once you get into Lagos, it's like all your senses are just like, oh my God. It's a lot. It's a lot on the senses. So I wanted to go to a beach resort outside of the city, but everything that I found was in Lagos or near Lagos. And most people know that city beaches are nasty. City beaches are not where it's at, but I just could not. I literally just got back from a week in Watamu and Kilifi. Beautiful Indian Ocean. This is low season. It's the cooler months. The water temperature was still amazing. The beaches are still relatively clean. And there's resorts up and down the coastline. I learned the hard way that when you are paying for lodging in Nigeria, you can't go cheap. If you have a certain standard, you cannot go cheap. Because, baby, the way, what they call them, 405 boys, the way them young boys is up in there with their girlfriends and it's just not clean and it's not tranquil. There's a DJ. It's just, I booked at one beach resort and I told the tour guide I needed to relax. Why she left a middle-aged woman at this beach resort, I don't know. I don't know why she left me there. I'll just say this. They had a fence, okay, a metal fence surrounding the resort to where you could see the ocean, but you couldn't access the ocean. It was so aesthetically unappealing. And I gave the resort a review. I was kind because I'm like, I couldn't even imagine trying to operate a resort here with the electrical outages, with all the lack of infrastructure, um, and with apparently the crime is really high. So that's why they had to do what they did. It was just moving on. The temperature, I think I mentioned, it's hot as fuck. It's hot. I mean, like, humid hot. You know, you talking about upper 90s to the low 100s every day on top of humidity, and the electricity got the nerve to go out. Baby, you need a fan. You need AC 24/7. You know, uh, Kenya, of course, Nigeria has a variety of temperatures, but it's just hot. It's like hot and more hot. And in Kenya, you've got a variety of micro temps. Like I said, I just left the coast and flew into Nairobi. Nairobi is gloomy. It's like a permanent gray cloud hanging over the city. It's cold, whereas, on the coast, it rained a little bit, but the sun was still out. It was still hot, or, 80s. It's just, you go to the mountains, it's cold. You know, there's a variety of temperatures. If you somebody that don't like the heat, Nigeria is not for you. Let's talk about this traffic. I know that people have a lot to complain about in Nairobi. Nairobi traffic do not compare to Lagos traffic whatsoever. Just count your blessings. Count your blessings. Lagos just has a lot of people, okay? It's just a lot of people. So, the main roads are wider in Lagos, but there's still more people than the roads can handle. And the way you will sit in traffic for hours just to go a couple of miles, I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it. And it's not a lot of boaters. It's not a lot of motorcycle taxis because they're very dangerous. Me, who loves motorcycles, who loves boaters, I think I took a boater one time in a very short distance, like in the same neighborhood, because them boys drive like they ain't got good sense. To give you an idea of how bad the traffic is in Lagos, my flight from Lagos to Nairobi was departing at 10:30 p.m. I was on Lagos Island. My tour guide called me. She said, you need to leave the island and be on the mainland by 2 p.m. I was like, but my flight leaves at 10:30 p.m. She reiterated, you need to be on the mainland by 2 p.m. Otherwise, you'll be sitting in traffic. To be fair, one of the bridges connecting to the mainland was under repair. So everybody was really like bottlenecked to, I think, 2 bridges. But if that don't tell you, so I made sure I got my ass to the mainland by 2 p.m. Went and got my hair done on the mainland. Then after that, I just went straight to the airport, checked into one of the lounges, and just like stayed there, ate for a few hours, and boom, it was time to board my flight. Fuel. Let's talk about the fuel. For Nigeria to be an oil-rich country, the things these people gotta go through to access fuel. Mind you, you need fuel for your generators, you need fuel for your vehicles, and the way they be lined up around the block to access fuel, it's shameful. It's shameful. On our way from Benin City to Cocoa Village, we saw all of these big rig oil trucks, fuel trucks. They were just lined up on the freeway, both sides of the freeway. The drivers had laid out mats, little rugs, underneath the trucks, and they were sleeping under the trucks. So come to find out, they lined up waiting to get fuel from the main, what would you call it? Fuel rig, fuel pump? I don't know what you would call it. They lined up. I'm like, how long do they have to wait? I was told sometimes 2 weeks. 2 weeks as a driver of one of these big rig oil trucks, you gotta wait 2 weeks just to get fuel. Now, I was born in the early 70s. When I was born, there was a fuel shortage in the US, believe it or not. And I remember being in the back seat of my parents' car, and we were in a queue around the block for blocks waiting to access fuel. And I remember I would go to sleep and I wake up and we still be in line to get fuel. It's nothing fun about this. It's nothing convenient about this. And let me just repeat, my quarrel is not with the Nigerian people. My quarrel is with the so-called leadership, the powers that be. So as I am trying to come back to Kenya, I call an Uber. Long story short, the driver, it takes him an hour to get to me, honey. That's a whole nother story. It takes him an hour to get to me. And I'm afraid to cancel and call somebody else because I think we're going to have the same issue. So he finally comes to me and he's like, Madame, I hope you don't mind. I need to get fuel. I'm like, God damn, what? So I said, okay. I'm thinking he gonna, pull into the gas station. No, he roll up on the side of the road. It's like, I don't know, 4 a.m. People start coming out the woodworks with cans, with jerry cans, like, with fuel. And I'm like, what? So he pays them and they just like siphoning fuel from the jerry can and somehow in this hose putting it into the car. I'm like, I have so many questions. First, the gas station was just right there. Why did he just pull into the gas station? Where did these people come from? Where's the fuel coming from? How are you siphoning fuel from the jerry can into the car and not getting fuel in your mouth? Like, how does this work? And last but not least, honey, because when I came back from Nigeria, all the Kenyans wanted to know, how was it? How was your time? Listen, there's a reason why there's so many Nigerians here. When we landed, okay, from Nigeria to Kenya, when we landed, the way Nigerians was dapping each other up on the shuttle bus to the airport, from the plane to the airport, they was dapping each other up like, we made it, we here, look, this is the land of milk and honey, baby. I was like, they didn't even know each other, but they were just so happy to be in Kenya. And I know why now. I know why they're here, and I know why they're so happy to be here. The money shortages, I think, what was it? You could only take out an equivalent of 8 USD at a time from the ATM machines. $8 at a time. Do you know how inconvenient that is? And when you have a foreign Visa card, a foreign credit card, that's charges on charges on charges from your bank, the foreign transfer fee, all of that. They was like, you just have to keep doing multiple transactions. I was like, say what? The way all of these apps don't want to fuck with Nigeria. They just refuse to fuck with Nigeria. Sendwave was a no. I think I could do World Remit. World Remit took forever. I think one of my transactions took like 48 hours. Imagine you've paid for something, but then you can't walk away with the item you paid for because the transaction is just in limbo. Like the currency is so low. I would take Uber rides and ultimately like the Uber for 30 minutes would be like 80 cents. I would try to add a little bit more for the driver. It would still be less than $1 US. Like, it was bad. Then the app that would work in Nigeria would only work for like bank transfers. It was no M-Pesa, no money wallet. It was like bank transfers. So everybody knows their bank account number. I don't personally, you ask me what my bank account number is, I don't know it. People know their bank account number off top because you can transfer directly to a bank account number with, I believe it's World Remit I was using when I was there. Then there was Tap Tap Send. I was trying to use that. It would not work when I tried to upload it and activate it in Nigeria. I should have activated it in Kenya. The way I was on the phone with these different apps and customer service, and they was telling me, I'm sorry, there's no way that you can use this app in your current location. It was just bad, you know, and the amount of time it took for the transactions to go through was just terrible. Excuse me. Yeah. Then they have these people on the side of the road, like they're called POSs, point of sale. So it could just be somebody sitting in a chair underneath an umbrella with a sign and say POS. So basically Nigerians use them to like transfer money to each other, to businesses, to do withdrawals, stuff like that, the same way we would use Safaricom and Pesa kiosks. But these are independently operated. I was so wary. I was so wary about using them, but they were the most efficient. So what you do is if you have like a Nigerian bank card or credit card, you go to these people, you get them your card, they can do any type of transaction for you for a fee. The trust that is required, how do you know they're not taking your information? How do you know, right? And then like if you have a foreign card, like you can forget about it. It's just not working. So what I had to do as a foreigner is I would have to hit up Brittany and say, hey, for example, I would say I need $100, okay, the equivalent of $100. I would transfer $100 to her from my U.S. bank account to her U.S. bank account, and then she would take $100 from one of her Nigerian accounts, and then she would send it to the POS person, and then that POS person would then give me the cash in Naira. A big ass stack of cash, because again, their currency is so devalued. They're giving you this big ass stack of cash, and you're supposed to stand there on the side of the road counting. The trust, the blind faith, because I don't even have the time to count all this money. The money is old, the money is dirty. They have a money shortage. It don't matter if you go to an ATM at a bank, in a nice hotel, the Radisson, whatever, you're gonna have the same issues. It was such a hassle. I got sick twice. The way Nigeria was telling me, baby, this country is not for you. It just didn't. I was so uneased. It didn't sit right with me in my bones. Like I said, I got sick a couple times there, and then all of the issues I've just listed. It's a difficult country to navigate. God bless Nigerians, and God bless Nigeria. Thank you for joining me on this episode of BLAXIT to Africa. If you liked what you heard, please share, subscribe, and leave a comment. May you thrive, may you be inspired, may you move with love and intention. Until next time.